But in this instance, we're talking about a couple of pistols, aren't we?
Yeah.
There was a rifle, a loaded rifle on the backseat of the car. It doesn't appear to have been used.
Yeah.
I mean, you've got a perverse situation where this year there was the Batman shooting in Aurora, in Colorado, the Wisconsin shooting at the Sikh temple, now this. And yet, perversely, if you look at the opinion polling in the States, stricter gun control laws are less popular now than they have been.
Well, when he was re-elected this time round, there was a 20% rise in people being registered to buy guns because they're concerned about it. People are worried across America that he may introduce a ban, and they do feel that it is their right. And the gun lobby will point to statistics such as, for example, statistics done by the UN showed that there were 88 guns per 100 head of population in the US as opposed to 6 per head here. And although the firearm murder rate in the US is 3 times higher than it is here, it's only ranked 28th in the world. So although they have more guns per head by far than any other country, the gun lobby can point at those statistics and say, well, that doesn't necessarily mean more people are going to just die as a result of it. So they do have some arguments to put against Obama, but set against that, we have families this morning waking up without their children.
Jason, thanks very much indeed. Jason Farrell. Well, vigils have been held in Newtown in Connecticut.
So we're learning some new details about how this rampage unfolded. And that man who's accused of carrying it out, he is 20-year-old Adam Lanza, and we will try to say his name as less as possible, but we have to say it for the record. Law enforcement sources say Lanza tried to buy a gun 3 days before the shooting, but did not have the proper paperwork. And police revealed just today that 3 guns, not 2, as previously thought, were found near Lanza's body inside that school. And what have we learned about this suspect? Are we learning anything about a motive at this hour?
Well, Don, officials aren't saying publicly what they're learning about a motive, but they are picking up information about potentially how and why this horrific shooting happened. And they've been recovering evidence. And we just saw a truck belonging to the Connecticut State Police Major Crime Task Force just leaving the Lanza home that's behind me. You can't see the home. It is tucked away in the back, and police have cut off this road, but several law enforcement vehicles left just moments ago, and law enforcement has been on the scene since shortly after yesterday's horrific shooting. Earlier this morning, Lieutenant Paul Vance, Connecticut State Police, was asked whether any writings or emails were being recovered to possibly tell investigators about potential motive. Here's how he answered that question.
Our investigators at the crime scene, the school, and secondarily at the secondary crime scene that we discussed where the female was located deceased, did produce some very good evidence in this investigation that our investigators will be able to use in hopefully painting the complete picture as to how and, more importantly, why this occurred.
And Don, you were just reporting on the weapons that were found yesterday near the shooter's body. And CNN, those 2 weapons, 2 handguns and 1 semi-automatic rifle, and CNN has been reporting that the weapons had been purchased by the suspect's mother, Nancy Lanza. And Nancy Lanza, don't know much about her. We did talk to a neighbor earlier today who said, there was nothing out of the ordinary about this woman, that she was a nice woman, she was known around the neighborhood, but it said that, the family wasn't all that social, but there was really nothing out of the ordinary, and it came as a surprise to learn about those weapons, obviously. Don?
So, Mary, as we are learning, one was a Glock, one was a Sig Sauer, one was a Bushmaster, and that he may have had access to additional rifles. And we're also hearing that he tried to purchase other guns, but there was an issue with the paperwork.
CNN's Susan Candiotti had been reporting about the fact that he had access to other weapons, and that there had been, I believe it was 3 other weapons that had been recovered elsewhere, was the latest reporting that we had on his access to guns.
Yeah.
She had recently oversaw the school security system project, which required everybody that visited the school after 9:30 a.m. They were required to buzz in at that front entrance. We now understand details have emerged that the gunman had stormed in and forced his way into Sandy Hook Elementary School. That explains the situation.
In the meantime, as we move on with our coverage here, I should tell you that investigators say that the school shooter had some sort of altercation at the school earlier in the week, and police now say 2 pistols and an assault rifle were found inside the school near his body.
In order to fire as many bullets as he did, he would have had to have reloaded several times. Who is going to attack him or jump on him? You're not going to have a 5-year-old say, let's roll, and take the gun away from the shooter. It's not going to happen. They're just going to sit there or stand there or run there and be killed. And that's what we have in this case.
Okay, so listen, now we're learning that the gunman may have had access to 3 additional rifles. He tried to buy a gun as recently as Tuesday. What do you make of these new developments, Tom?
Well, that's interesting that, you know, what was going on in his brain, that he didn't think the 3 weapons that he showed up with were enough. A Glock, a 6-hour pistol that have a tremendous firepower, and then combining that with an assault rifle where he could buy a number of 30-round or greater magazines to feed through that gun. That wasn't enough. I mean, what did he have in mind? Take out the whole school? We don't know.
Yeah. Why are investigators so intent on recreating the crime from beginning to end? Is it likely that they're going to discover something new?
Well, it's possible. It's possible they may discover that. And then also in doing his background check, they may find that there may be some other individual out there that triggered this. And we don't know, whether not necessarily a co-conspirator, but somebody out there that may have knowledge about it. And they're going to want to know if he had paperwork on his body when they found him in the school. Maybe he wrote some kind of manifesto, you know, goodbye letter to society or whatever that we don't know about yet, and that may have a clue as to what was on his mind. But then again, also, the authorities want to talk to everybody that's had a conversation with him or dealt with him going back as far as they can, days, months, years even, to see if there was something that showed up in the past that would be an indication of what triggered this, why he wanted to do it, for the purposes of trying to identify that same issue in other people in the future.
Most often with people who are deeply depressed and suicidal who want to do something, the most common thing they do if they're going to do something drastic is kill themselves. So obviously the suicide. Then there are people who go one step beyond that and take out whoever they saw as the source of their pain. So it's usually boss, girlfriend, or family member. Somebody in one of their different inner circles of their life. Whoever's causing the pain, where the pain is, they shoot the boss or the girlfriend or the parent or, you know, whoever's sort of like the symbol of that pain. The next step of people who take it one step further are people who attack not just that person, but other person around them. So if the wife or the girlfriend is the problem, you also kill the best friend who I know is talking bad behind my back or whatever. Sure. You do a wider circle.
Yeah. I wish to God she had had an M4 in her office locked up, so when she heard gunfire, she pulls it out, and she didn't have to lunge heroically with nothing in her hands, but she takes him out, takes his head off before he can kill those precious kids.
What we know right now, a law enforcement official says, and this is a victim, this is the suspect's name, 20-year-old Adam Lanza. We will say that as little as possible. We have to do it for the record, that he had some sort of altercation with people at the school a few days before the shooting. The official doesn't know any details about that altercation or who it involved. We also learned from a law enforcement source that the suspect tried to buy a gun 3 days before the shooting, but didn't have the proper paperwork. And police also revealed today that 3 guns, not 2 as previously thought, were found near the suspect's body inside the school.
Susan Candiotti is on the scene for us as well. Susan, are you getting more information on what happened?
Yes, Wolf, I have some new information to report now from 2 law enforcement sources that among the dead is the mother of the shooter in this case. The mother of the shooter is also dead. She is a teacher at the school. Now, we don't have confirmed whether she was found dead at the school or at some other location, but 2 sources tell us that she too is among the dead. Also, some additional new information to report to you, Wolf, is that the shooter, Ryan Lanza, is 24 years